The anomaly named Anna Marie by username RickRolo23. A few years ago, I went to a trade school that was mostly consisting of people from all sorts of backgrounds. Our world is a revolving door, people. Every week, people coming on Tuesday, and a lot of people leave on Friday for good. Some people even go as far as being kicked off campus for good night as well, if not run away. I was about a year and a half in when she appeared out of nowhere. It's as if she's been here all this time, but yet just suddenly appeared out of nowhere, and she was already in a trade. We call her Anna Marie to hide her real name. Anna Marie was very promiscuous and incredibly popular with the guys. Why, she could snap her fingers and have most dorkiest of dorks get on her knees and shine her shoes. She can make a V with her fingers, and a lit cigarette would fill that space. She could hold her hand out into a cup shape, and you can expect a wine glass to appear. Anna Marie, of course, had boyfriend after boyfriend after boyfriend, and I know something about them. After she's done dating them, they seem lost, drained, and emotionally depressed. Anna Marie was an anomaly inside the school system. I usually see new people as I taught a class that was a required one for trade school. On top of that, we were in the same building, and every Monday we had meetings in the res on the floor she was on. Amongst other things, she was already on the honour hall, and everybody acted like they knew her for months, when she was just getting started. For a little while, I paid no attention to her. I had my own worries and issues, testing every Friday constantly, studying my leadership. She was just a distant ship on the horizon. One day, she suddenly appears and starts asking me if she can have free food I was making. I turned her down because I didn't believe in sharing. Usually, at this point, people tend to move forward. However, she seemed persistent. Anytime I was cooking or just getting a snack, she would beg me for whatever I was making. This was even despite the fact she had not one but two guys who can cook for her, as well as she could just snap her fingers and have culinary serve her one of the best steaks on campus. The thing is, she wanted me to yield to her, she wanted me to bow down, she wanted me to be subservient. Too many years I've been a victim of this behaviour. The more I denied, the more she got aggressive. She never told her guys to make me do it, and she never resorted to stealing. She just kept demanding I cook for, and I kept turning her down. This seemed to be like a goal for her, an achievement, but yet she seemed to only appear on thin air, and only if I think about it. I remember one time telling my roommate that I can summon her as if she's some sort of demon just by thinking about her in the kitchen. I walk in. I don't have anything to cook. I have a bag of popcorn and some coffee in my French press. My roommate was dubious. He claimed that he watched her go up the hill before he followed me in. But there she was, standing right there, in the kitchen with a totally different change of clothes, even asking if I was cooking, and I just dully replied with a no. Instead of getting her usual anger or frustration of not getting anything, she just simply smiled and just said okay, and she vanished round the corner, leering time to time or hanging out in the office. Midnight came and I go out to study. My roommate's on his phone, I'm on the computer, she's just on her phone, all seems normal. Midnight comes and I was feeling tired. I decided to call it quits and do a coffee run to my room. I go in and grab my card and check it out for the night. As soon as I leave the door to the RA's office, it shuts. I walk slowly and she rushes out in front. Her face was emotionless and she slows down to a dead stop at the corner of my hall. She arches her back and grinds the corner of the hall once. She breathes hard, looking at me, her face expressionless, emotionless, just leering into my eyes. In my head I can hear what sounded like a klaxon screaming, knowing something isn't right, and I veered into my hall. I could feel her eyes on my back as she stood there. My roommate saw me shocked. "Ricky, what happened?" I told him. "Is she there?" He looked concerned. "Who's Ricky?" I piped up. "Is she there?" He looks, and he just got scared. Hey, Anna, as he said sheepishly. No replies back. She was just standing there. Good night, Anna. His face had immense dread. Dude, what happened? I explained it to him, and he was surprised because he's one of the guys that likes to hang around her, as she is super flirty with him, since he's one of the most handsome guys on campus. He knew something was not right with her. A few minutes later he checked and said all clear, and I wanted to go and get coffee for us. I passed where she was standing in the hall, and I just looked into her hallway, and in the pitch black she was just standing there, just staring. She didn't say my name, she didn't blink, wave, move. She was just still. I looked, and suddenly she vanished. I was sure she was in my line of sight, and there was just enough light to see her, but I didn't hear her move. It was just like as if she phased out of reality. The next morning I was up, and it was cold and chilly, because my roommate, forgetting that it was December, he left the window open. Thankfully, it was a Saturday, so I got up and got out for breakfast. I was first to the lines and standing in the cold, freezing rain. The usual's out with me. I go and I grab my meals and my morning coffee. I turn and look, and there was Anna Marie, sitting in my usual spot, in my usual seat, just frozen there, very robotically, as if waiting, almost knowing I'll be right there, thinking that I would continue my morning routine as if nothing happened. Because my meal was in a restaurant and I had coffee, I went and moved full tilt to the dish line, pounding my coffee and walking out of the Monte Cristo. I took an unusual route back to the res just to see if she might appear again. She did. She was casually walking back despite the fact I ran, and I ran very fast. She's not the athletic type nor the best of health as she smokes, but yet she's managed to clear roughly 1,000 feet and be at the door. She was standing there, waiting, scanning the horizon as if it was waiting for someone to appear. So I appeared to take an alternative route again, but I stopped and watched her move, and it seemed like if time was just skipping around her. As soon as she went round a corner, I went running towards the doors. I veered down the hall and into my room. With my shades drawn, I just watched her drift along. Her face was completely emotionless. I knew for a fact she couldn't see me, because where I was versus where she was, her line of sight would not be able to pick me up immediately. She then walked slowly as if looking for someone or something, and it looked like she shifted time going from the bottom step immediately to the top step and walking towards the door. I get a knock on my door. Suddenly, there's a big smile on her face as she asks me to help with decorations, and having to be hall leader, I have to oblige. Anna Marie was standing by the tree, and when I walked in, she seemed completely normal, acting like she normally does, as if nothing happened in the last 20 hours. I quickly help, and I am suddenly tasked to do another project, baking. I was helping a student bake, and we were having fun talking about her life in the Ukraine, and I share my stories of my travels. Suddenly, though, Anna appears. She's busy asking the Ukrainian girl when the snacks will be ready. The thing was that the door was locked, and with the RA pulling sentinel duty, not to mention that the locks of the locks were really heavy duty. However, the Ukrainian girl was not fazed by this, nor noticed the fact that she got in there when there was no access. It was impossible to get in quietly. After the Christmas break, everything went back to normal, and as if nothing really changed other than the last 6 weeks of Anna being there. One of the things I remember Anna having was this immense stare which triggered my anxiety so harshly that I had to go and lay down afterwards, which incredibly shocked the staff because they weren't used to seeing me like that. She also had very strange mannerisms around certain people, such as my roommate who was a bit slow. They were both in the school's 12-step program. They had this weird kind of connection. It was almost like a teacher-student kind of relationship. Her last few weeks, she had this look of regret and dread on her face, and then she was finally gone. Fast forward to my graduation. I was happy that I was finally leaving trade school and going on with my career. One of the girls came up to me and she said, "Ricky, I've got some serious news for you. Apparently, Anna Marie was actually incredibly obsessed with me that she told my friend. She'd come in every night and complain, sometimes cry herself to sleep. The weird thing was that I knew they were roommates, and she said nothing until I was 5 minutes from leaving for good about this. Weird thing was my friend was open about stuff, and this was news month after Anna left. Really weird and specific thing to bring up. Why now? 5 minutes from leaving those doors for good. My friend never brought it up again, but the way she said it, it was uncanny and not in her character.